So how do we discover all these wonderful facts about the world? We use what is called the scientific method. This is a series of steps that scientific investigators use to answer questions about the natural world. We start by making observations, formulating a hypothesis, and conducting scientific experiments. Let's look at the steps. The first step is problem identification. Here we decide what it is we would like to know more about. Next, we formulate a hypothesis. This is where we make a clearly defined statement that we would like to test. Then, we move on to experimentation. We design an experiment to test our hypothesis. Then we have to carefully observe what happens and collect data. This step is very important because we have to be completely aware of every change that occurs during the experiments. But we'll look at this more closely later. Now we have to interpret the data we have collected. What does it tell us about the thing we are studying? What changes did we observe? And how do the findings relate to our hypothesis? Finally, we arrive at a conclusion. This is where we will decide whether our hypothesis was true or not. If it is true, we have discovered something. If not, we have to start the process from the beginning again. It's an ongoing process, and if your hypothesis is not true, you can just come up with a new one. As I said earlier, it's important that you make very careful observations, and sometimes the best tools are your very own sense organs. Sight from your eyes, smell from your nose, hearing from your ears, touch from your skin, and taste from your tongue. The eyes can be used to observe a variety of things like color and movement. The nose can be used to describe smells of gases and chemicals. But be careful, some chemicals can make you cough. The ears can be used to detect sounds produced by both living and non-living things. Skin can determine the texture of an object, as well as temperature and sharpness. These are important when observing changes. Finally, the tongue can be used to taste specimens and distinguish between them. For example, glucose has a sweet taste, whereas starch does not. But be careful what you taste. Some things could be harmful to you, so make sure to ask your teacher whether it is safe to taste anything during an experiment. So, what have we learned? Well, we know that the scientific method is a step-by-step process used by scientists to make scientific discoveries. We start with problem identification, then we go on to hypothesis formulation. Next is experimentation. Then we have observation and data collection. Once we have the data, we move on to interpretation of data. Finally, we arrive at a conclusion. Sometimes these steps have to be repeated if our hypothesis turns out to be not true. In order to make keen observations, we have to use our sense organs. Sight from your eyes, smell from your nose, hearing from your ears, touch from your skin, and taste from your tongue. And remember, always ask permission before you taste a specimen or inhale a large amount of gas or chemicals, as they could be harmful to you. Now you know how to conduct biological investigations. Use your senses, stay safe, and have fun.